Slipperies. Let's start out with some opening comments, Coach, please.
All right, thanks, Dave. I mean, obviously, extremely proud of our group. You know, not just tonight, but how this group has grown and continued to mature and bond together and get better. You know, and obviously we played exceptionally well tonight against a really, really good team. You know, we were able to make some shots, get some momentum, transition. I thought defensively we did some really good things. You know, we made a quick turn from the Illinois game and had to prepare and, you know, in a short amount of time, knowing that this was going to be a challenge for us. And you know, I just think it's a microcosm of how this group has kind of continued to get better and better and better and meet the challenges that our staff puts in front of them and do it collectively together. We talk about that at nauseum, about doing it together. And like I said, I'm just proud. Obviously, Nick had a tremendous game. Thought Blackwell was really good. I thought everybody, you know, we just really picked each other up, absorbed Blackwell's foul trouble in the first half, and were able to extend the lead and minimize, for the most part, what they try to do. They got us in transition and got us on the glass a little bit, but I thought by and large we were able to obviously play with a lead and we were able to stay aggressive, and that was important. So you know, it's been a pretty decent few days here. So now we need some rest, which we'll finally get a day tomorrow to recharge a little bit, and then obviously we got a long ways to go yet, both obviously in the schedule, but also things that we can continue to improve upon. And I think as long as they keep that mindset of staying hungry and continue to improve, we've got more things to accomplish going forward. Questions?
Go Nick and then John, Mark, and Michael.
Greg, you talked about that growth, especially defensively. How did that kind of set the tone tonight? It seemed like Brody and Winter very early. Just how proud are you of kind of that growth the last 2.5 months on that side of the floor?
Yeah, I think, you know, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, early in the year, we were soft, mentally and physically, and we had to mature. We had to grow up, collectively and with individually. And you know, and this, you're not going to be able to compete in these type of games at the upper echelon of this league if you're not physically and mentally tough. And this group has responded. Like I said before, that's part of the response and improvement, that this group accepted the challenge, and the coaching staff has done a great job of being extremely demanding of them, and they want that. They want to be held to a high standard, and like I said, they've responded and continue to improve and understand how important that defensive end and the physicalness that you have to play with in this league is obviously exceptionally important.
Obviously not the first time that we've talked about a special performance from Nick, but what in particular impressed you the most about what he did tonight? Well,
I mean, he made a lot of shots, obviously. I thought he was really aggressive. He followed the scouting report pretty well defensively for the most part. You know, he just brings another element to our offense because of the pace he plays with. He forces other guys to run, meaning our guys. And obviously he got into a position where, you know, found himself open, made some good decisions. Guys found him too, you know, and he was in one of those modes where, you know, he's an exceptionally confident kid. I mean, I would say ferociously competitive, but extremely confident, and doesn't think there's anything he can't accomplish. And obviously offensively, he was in a groove tonight.
Mark, yeah, right, you can get John. You can give it right to Mark if you would, please. Thanks.
Going back to defense, I guess I'm wondering, going into the game, what did you feel was going to be kind of the focal point or the key aspect that your guys needed to really kind of contain with Michigan State, and how do you think that went and played into the outcome?
Same thing we've talked about for 25 years. Transition defense, defensive rebounding. I mean, they put as much pressure on you in transition as any team in the country. They come after the glass as well as any team in the country, and they've done it. I mean, they were doing it in 2001 when we got here, and they're still doing it. So that's what makes them consistently really good year in and year out. They, Coach Izzo has a system and a method to what he does, and it's, obviously made him a Hall of Famer, but he stayed true to what he believes in. And I think that's where you see programs stay so consistent year in and year out. For him, it's, you're looking 3 decades here of extremely high level basketball, but they defend really well. It's the best defensive team in the league. They rebound it really well, and they obviously put an exceptional amount of pressure on you in transition defensively. So that transition defense was important. Defensive rebounding was important. And I thought, too, taking care of the ball. We got a little sloppy at times. We got 2, whether it was late in the first half, some turnovers turned into transition for them, and you just can't give them extra opportunities to play in space because they're really, really good at it.
Michael?
Nick took some wild shots, but he obviously made a lot of them. How much does his shot selection come up in a film session? And I guess, how much of that do you just have to let go?
Define wild.
I mean, stopping on the break and throwing a floater at the rim and,
Shots that you wouldn't take in open gym, Mike?
Definitely not. I don't know that football.
I've said before, you have to, there's a fine line between overcoaching and micromanaging shot selection. There are times, we obviously, I grade every shot quality, but at the same time, you have to let your horses buck, right? You gotta let your horses play. And not every shot that he takes is gonna be maybe a gold medal, 5-star shot. You've gotta let, and I've done that with others. I did it with Johnny Davis, did it with A.J. Storr, did it with JT last year, Blackwell, guys that proven that they can be game changers and score for you. You gotta, you can't micromanage. Not everybody has the same green light, and sometimes that green light turns to yellow, and once in a while it might turn red. But you have to, that's a within the game feel with the types of shots we're getting, and because he creates a lot of things for us offensively just by his presence and velocity that he attacks the paint with.
As underclassmen, it feels like Austin and Alexis have really started to adapt and succeed against some of these really good front courts in the Big Ten. How have you seen their games and comfortability level grow over the last month or so?
Yeah, I think comfortability is a good term for it. I mean, it's obviously it's a completely new world specifically for Alexis, right? I mean, he's never been to the States, and he arrives in September or late August, and 5 months later he's had to run out of the way of a court storm. Like they don't storm the court in Lithuania, that doesn't happen. So there has been a lot of adjustments and adaptation for him, and obviously Aussie has a year of college basketball under his belt in Portland, but they both have taken coaching very well, and want to improve. They both want to get better. They ask very good questions. They take constructive criticism well. They don't get defensive, and they both have, in different ways, have continued to improve. And they both, most importantly, they're both about the front of the jersey and winning, and that's what makes it work. You have to have like-minded guys, and whether you've been here for 5 years, or you've been here for 5 months. That's really important in terms of the culture of your locker room and the culture of your program.
Right up front, and then, go ahead.
Coach, you had talked about the connectedness of this group just a little bit, but it's obviously been a process throughout the year, but with the connectedness that they played with tonight, is that kind of what you envisioned from this group as you put the team together ahead of the year?
Yeah, I mean, the connectiveness takes time, right? And you're not going to, you want to make sure you evaluate in terms of the player that you're bringing in. If you're looking at portal, because those evaluations are done in a speed dating format, but you're also making sure you're vetting the person, and making sure they understand that when they come here, we don't become them, they have to become us. And I mean, a great example is last year, I think 7 of the top 8 or 9, 7 of them had been played here before, and the only outlier, the only newcomer that played was Tajay. And this year it was kind of the reverse. Like, you know, Winter and Blackwell have got a lot of experience. Janicki a little bit. Other than that, everybody else is new, and it just takes time for that connectivity to happen, and then you can get some consistency, which we didn't have early in the year. We were good in spurts. We were good yesterday, not good today, good tomorrow. You know, you just saw that as we kind of, and part of that was the connectivity and understanding everybody's role, and then part of it, like I mentioned before, just we had to toughen up. Like, we didn't handle adversity well. We didn't handle, and that's where some of those scores maybe you saw early in the year. We didn't punch back well, and or sometimes at all. And they've grown. They've grown. And like I said, I'm extremely proud of them because they've bonded together. It's a really good locker room, and they enjoy each other's success. I think that's a neat. You know, you're watching them all celebrate with no matter who's on the floor. They enjoy watching their teammates have success.
Got 2 more questions. Go ahead and then Jim, please.
Coach, 28 points in the paint tonight. Was winning the front court battle one of the main focuses coming into the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's not only, you know, points in the paint aren't always big guys, right? You know, that's Nick Boyd and Blackwell and others getting to the rim, dribble penetration, those things. You know, so yeah, I mean, you obviously want to, points in the paint are important. I thought second chance points were important. You know, we were able to convert off some of their turnovers. You know, the fast break points is one that obviously they were very good in transition when they were able to get there, and you know, so we'll have to look at that, and there'll be some things we'll have to improve from that. But yeah, I mean, it's a I think we have a multi-dimensional team. We have a lot of different pieces and weapons in the starting lineup, off the bench in different ways, and our staff does a phenomenal job. I can't say enough about them as how they game plan and put things together and tweak and adjust, and you know, it's makes it a lot of fun when you got really good players. You know, it makes all that tweaking and adjusting and game planning really enjoyable because you know you're working with really good players and that want to have success.
Jim, final question.
You were in here a couple of days ago talking about consistent approaches and how every game's kind of the same, and we've certainly seen that over the years, and that's a measure of this program's success. But this week was really impressive, and to stack back-to-back wins like you did. Do you allow yourself to just pause for a second and say, this team has a chance to be really, really good? Or is it too early for that?
I think, I mean, no, I don't, and that's my own fault, you know. I think we as coaches we're wired, we're a little wacky on how we're wired, that we don't, and I've had other head coaches, the one that really brought it to my attention was Dick Bennett, said, he goes, if I have one regret, I lamented way longer and way harder and way deeper on losses than I ever enjoyed wins. And I wish I would have enjoyed that, but it's human nature, right? We're on to next. Like I know Ohio State, like but yeah, you have to find a somewhat of a balance. But I think in this profession, I don't think you get to this point if your switch goes off, you know. And maybe we turn down the volume a little bit, but the switch doesn't go off. You know, I'll watch this tape tonight. You know, we have tomorrow off, which is important for our players. But we'll be, you know, we're already in Ohio State prep, so yeah, you can enjoy the moment long, but I think everybody that's in this is extremely competitive, and competitors don't do a good job at flipping the switch off until maybe May.
We'll actually watch this tonight. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Terrific.